All right. What is going on, everyone? We are having just a little bit of Friday fun, but hello, everyone. Welcome to the TapsTrades channel. I am Taps, and where I always help you keep up to date with everything Ecomi, Veve, and the NFT crypto space. I have another exciting guest today to kick off 2021. So help me in welcoming one of the earliest OG Veve Ecomi content creators, the creator of the OMI Red Circle, and fellow beautiful beard rocker, Mr. Kyle Willson.
Wait. Yeah, what's going on, everybody?
Happy to have you on here, man.
Thank
Happy
you.
Friday.
Appreciate that. Thanks for the amazing intro. Yeah.
No, I love it because it feels surreal for me. Like I've already talked about it, I think a few times, but like we haven't been on a stream together, I think probably since the beginning of last year. And like that was the first time I had ever streamed with anyone. Like I was new to YouTube, never done it before, and you invited me, and I was like, I have no idea how to stream, but I'll tell this guy yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good times, and obviously we were both like coming up in the VV community, and it was just something very fun to do. And it's just like, why are all these Twitch streamers? They're always like partnering, collabing. I'm like, why do these guys get to have girls and gals always have to get have all the fun? Like we can bring that into our community. So yeah, it was something that we got started, and now everybody's collabing and doing all the cool stuff. So it's very cool to see that grow and prosper and all that good stuff.
Yeah, the community engagement involvement has absolutely just gone crazy. So, and shout out to everyone who's in here. If you guys can, please hit that like button. And we already have super chats. Thank you so much, Jordan C. Like this combo, Taps. Thanks for helping rising awareness to the accounting disabling topic or the account disabling topic. Cheers, Veve. Let's have a nice, successful weekend. Thank you so much. And awesome. Thank you so much for the super chat, Adam. Awesome face. I just sold everything to buy all the killer Crocs. Thanks for all the financial advice in your secret group, Taps. He's gonna create some kind of madness. Cannot confirm nor deny, but appreciate everyone hopping in here. Thanks, Reslone. I mean, it's great to see like so many of the same faces on like my channel and your channel. Like people are supporting us, and it's great to see. And we've got a bunch of OGs in here. I think
Crypto
I saw
Far West.
Roman in here. We've got Yanette,
Shaq,
Crypto Far West, Shaq. Shaq was one of my earliest supporters in homies. Vitalik. I mean, happy to see it. But we're gonna get into it. But before we get into the questions, please, everyone, do me a favor, and I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Boom. This is actually the first stream on April 17th that you invited me to, and with a little special appearance from new to crypto guy who's now essentially crypto.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my old office, and I was just like, all right, I had like my old crappy camera, and I was just like, all right, hopefully I don't botch this. But it's crazy to see from April 17th and when we first started in March where we are now. But everyone, do me a favor. Open a second tab. Make sure that you subscribe to Kyle Willson. As you see, I have my notification bells on because he drops fire content constantly. And make sure you are following him on Twitter as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're going to get into, and everyone we'll get answer some questions because Kyle has a lot of knowledge. He's been here since the beginning. I think you actually started doing Veve content like a week before me. So you're one of the earliest OGs in the space.
Yeah, we were starting to do content pretty much around the same time. And I think we were like, we just continued doing content until we both noticed each other. Like like that first month, we're like, oh my gosh, like this guy's doing videos and I'm doing videos. And it was just cool. And, and that's kind of how the beginning of the community started. It's just like, and then shortly after, more content creators started popping up and so on. So,
yeah, and there's so many now, like, and that's what we're going to get into a little bit about, like community involvement. We're going to get into some Veve strategy for both OGs and new users. We're going to get into the wider NFT space because for those who don't know, Kyle Willson knows a thing or two about NFTs, period, like not just Ecomi and Veve. So we'll get into that. But before we do, I'm going to go. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. And we'll get into some of these questions from others as well. I wanted to have like a little bit of fun before we get into like the actual question. So lightning round, answer as quick as possible. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
DC or Marvel?
I
knew that was gonna get you.
DC.
Yes.
DC.
Oh man, it's like never the popular answer, but I know you're a DC guy.
I know. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that was
Walter
hard.
Steamboat Willie.
Walt.
Collectibles or comics?
Ooh. In-app or off-app?
In-app.
Collectibles.
Off-app.
Comics.
All right. Todd or Superman?
Todd.
Veve or OMI?
Veve.
Let's go. Oh man, those were I could see you sweating. You're like, oh man,
Yeah.
how do I answer
Oh my
these?
gosh.
I
That's
had to really
tough.
think about these. I was like, how do you stump someone who's been in early?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
So I was reading some of these questions. Thoughts
Yeah.
Cap was shirtless at first glance. No, I do not have a full black tattoo with Veve on my chest yet, but
Yeah,
one
just
day,
a giant body sleeve.
yep. And
Could you
obviously,
imagine?
so I mean, there's been talks about like I think we've already seen Veve tattoos, and I think it's likely that like I don't have any tattoos yet, but I've wanted them for a long time, and I think at some point I will be getting a Veve or OMI tattoo at some point. Like it's making us so much wealth, and it's part of what we've built our entire community around. It's like it makes sense.
Yeah. Where would you get it? Just like, face tat or like
Yeah, I would get like Cora like right here, like, and then like maybe like a Donnie on the other side, and then like Veve under the eye.
Yeah. Donnie would be an instant, you just having that grill on your face would probably catch a lot of attention.
I think if you got the Post Malone under the eyes, and you just got be authentic.
Yeah. That would definitely be the move. I
Love
think
it.
everybody would notice me at conventions moving forward.
Love it. So let's get into some of these questions. And I always ask everyone this because I think it's important to kind of see, where people started. So what made you start investing in Veve? Like, how did you find it? And then what, I guess, encouraged you to create a channel around it?
Yeah. So yeah, the NFT space was kind of just starting to boom again, and I saw people, sell his artwork, and I began to research, and I knew we were still early, and I was just, going back to my old crypto days and crypto, YouTubers and. Blockchain Andy randomly popped up a video, and he was mainly, I think, talking a lot about the OMI token side. But I realized that there was going to be a huge potential on the NFT side. And as soon as I saw DC and all these other big brands, I was like, this is going to be massive. Like with where we are, the macro NFT space, people are getting excited about Beeple, which is cool. But when you're talking about these big brands and IPs, like these are just a no-brainer move. And yeah, so it just built that traction up for me, and I knew immediately the content that I could easily build content around daily and have fun. And for me, that was a big deal, is having fun creating the content and interacting with the community. And I knew the community was going to grow like crazy. And so it was just a combination, like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it just came together. And it's been great ever since. I couldn't have been happier. Doing crypto videos is awesome, but doing Veve videos is even much cooler because it's the brands we know, trust, and love already.
Yep. It's pretty much the same exact story for me too. Like I found Veve from Blockchain Andy and OMI and like invested in February, and really happy I did. And then, I created 2 videos that like no one knows about, but I created like 2 stock videos because I'm a still stock trader to this day every morning. But like I was like, all right, well, I really like these NFTs, and I'm just going to create a video. And I had no idea there was a massive community behind it. And then I think you and others were like, oh, you need to get on Twitter. That's where the community lives and breathes. And it's just been gung ho ever since. But like what you just said, I was creating a lot of other crypto videos, and sometimes I throw in NFT videos, but there's just so many different pieces to Ecomi and Veve, and so much happening constantly that it's hard to even do other kinds of videos, because otherwise you're like, well, there's news every 3 days. So unless I'm doing a video every single day, I can't really cover other projects. But yeah, it's been absolute crazy. And I did see a question that I'm going to get to this after this next question, but I think it's a really good question to touch on. So I'll pull this back up and we'll get to some others. But before that question, like you've been around, I've been around. I think it's really important because our community jumped from it was like under 5,000 users in February, and then it was around 60,000 users around April, and now we're over 1.5 million active monthly users. And so there's more new users coming in. So being around, knowing strategy, what would be your advice to new users coming in? Because right now the prices are at all-time highs. Like it is, a lot of people are just priced out and they just have to load a lot of gems. So what advice do you have for new users coming in to really get either grails or blue chips or just start collecting?
Yeah, absolutely. So for new users, participating in drops, even if you aren't successful in a drop, is always like 100% what you should be doing. And just depending on the user, the new user could be somebody that is, maybe they're more entrepreneurial and they want to like do the flipping side. Look for those undervalued NFTs, those undervalued, collectibles, and invest into those. And when they're low, obviously you don't want to buy high. You want to use resources like the Ecomi wiki and those charts. But if you are a new user just coming in to have fun, just collect what you like. And I think there's going to be a lot of value and excitement in that. And we're still early, so these collectibles could still go up in value. They're limited. You have people going for the master collector side. So these collectibles will end up in these some people's vaults forever. Nobody, some of these collectors are not going to let some of these collectibles go. And so, if you're just somebody wanting to partake because you enjoy it, then do that, collect what you like. So.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I like the piece that you said about how we're still early, which is like one of my catchphrases too that I've been saying forever. But also the piece about how there's some people who are just not going to let these collectibles go. Like now that we've seen how fast they can rise, there's just plenty of people, especially like more and more of the whales and influencers are hopping in who are just not going to let them go. So I think that's really, really sound advice. And I wanted to touch back on this question because I think it's great. Hey guys, from DD Jr., how do you think the Bitcoin bear market will affect the OMI price according to the upcoming news?
Yeah, so Bitcoin kind of like when it goes down, it, unfortunately takes some of the altcoins with it. But if MTL does come out and IMX launches, I think it'll probably still somewhat track with the Bitcoin token, unfortunately. But at the same time, the Bitcoin token could rebound like immediately. So there's a lot of institutional investors and things like that. Wall Street is investing in Bitcoin now, like all these big banks. So it could rebound fairly quickly. And so for me, that's a good buying opportunity for the OMI token. So I'm not really too concerned with the short term. I'm looking at good entry points where I can maybe dollar cost average for when OMI rises above $1 or 1 cent. And, the rest is going to be history. So
I agree. I mean, one thing, and I think Real Randy Chavez, I hopped on his stream yesterday, and he was kind of talking about how like there's certain kind of like hidden gem alts that will actually rally pretty well, and like we're already seeing it, right? Like Bitcoin's going down because the traditional markets are down, right? So most alts are also falling, but everything's been down now for a few weeks, and Ethereum's been way down, but OMI still had like a 40% gain, and it's now retraced a little bit. But I think the news is going to be bullish because where we're seeing a lot jumping into OMI recently is because of all the hype, because of all the catalysts that are happening, whereas most alts aren't having any right now. So all that spotlight is going towards the areas that are actually having catalysts and are having money. So if the whole market's down, you could see like OMI was number 3 on CoinGecko the other day. It was number 5 like a day before that. So I think, I don't think we're in a bear market yet. I think we're in a big correction, which makes sense. But I do think that, of course, OMI is affected by the broader market in general. But I do think that we're going to have a lot of spotlight if everything keeps being in this bear run while OMI has all the catalysts hitting. So I think we've got a lot to see. But on to the next question is, you started the red circle movement, right? Like everyone on Twitter, I mean, even Gary Vee mentioned it when he was talking with G.I. Joel on that recent thing. He's like, I see all the red circles on all my comments and people hitting me up on Veve. And so this is come to be loved and like a staple of our community. And, you know, I know you co-founded the Veve Art Show too, which I was really happy to be a part of that. Like, I love seeing just how much it's exploded with community involvement. So where do you see your role in our community now that we're almost a year in? And would you like, I guess, what would you like to see your role continue to be in the Veve community?
Yeah. So yeah, the VV Art Show, and for maybe people that maybe aren't familiar with that, new users, it was a crazy time. We launched that. Taps was, one of the judges, and we kind of looked at all the art pieces and all the artwork that people submitted, and it was incredible. Like I did not I did not expect that art show to be as massive as it was. And it just completely took off, and I couldn't be more happier. Moving forward, I would love to continue the VV Art Show, and we have so many talented people, and it's a great place for our talented artists in the community to really shine, and for everybody to really appreciate who they are. And so I think that's going to continue, and that's kind of my role in the community. Hopefully, I can help other people shine and bring people up, and that's kind of what I would like to do in the future and continue to do that. So.
Awesome. If you are down to put another VVR show together, like, I would love to be a part of it again, because the art that people created was incredible. And I think you mentioned Ecomi Wiki earlier, and I check Ecomi Wiki almost every single. Actually, no, I do check it every single day, multiple times a day, to make different moves and different swings. But I remember OMI the Clown actually had some great art, and like tons of people created amazing art. So I think it's about time that that happens again, because it just brought out the best of our community. Because we always have fun with our collectibles, but to see like people actually creating physical things and just putting like our favorite characters in, it's been amazing. So I would love to see that again.
Yeah, we had the vault builders before it was, they had their vaultaholics and all that. Like they were submitting their entries, and True Tech Junkie was one of the OGs in that contest as well. So yeah, it's culminated into something like entirely beyond me, transcended everything, and now they have their own thing going on, and it's incredible.
Yeah, I love seeing like Roman and True Tech Junkie. All their vaults are absolutely incredible. Once it comes to desktop, that's when I will make my vault incredible, because they put like 48, 72 hours into these vaults. I'm just like, man, doing that with your finger, like
Oh
whole
no.
nother level of patience.
Yeah, I have a potato iPhone like 10, so I don't know how well I could do.
Yeah, but so I'd love to see that in the future. And shout out to Maxwell. Thank you so much for the super chat. Beer Money only. Been watching both you guys since April 2nd. Two of the goats. Thank you so much for the support, Maxwell. And to Kobe Collects, thank you for the super chat. DC and Marvel have started to crack down on counterfeit and unlicensed NFTs featuring their IP. Yep. Rarible froze an unlicensed Spider-Man NFT and spoke on emerging laws in the news digital space. Beeple's Mickey sold for tons. Yeah, I mean, that's where the power of IP and licensing is going to come in, right? Because they're starting to crack down. Like the more and more, I saw that Twitter is now like doing Twitter Blue, to where you're going to have like your profile picture, right? Like where it's actually like tying back to NFT. So they're going to be cracking down on counterfeits and things that are not true, as well as, I know Meta's doing that, but the brands themselves, like, they're stepping into the space. So that's where we shine because of that IP.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get a little bit into the collectible side, the NFT side, but one last question, I guess, just kind of community side, is, again, I guess, kind of being in so early and seeing where the community's evolved. Looking back, I guess now where we are, how has the community changed since then, both good and bad? Like, what do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Easy on the good side, but I guess we'll do the good news first. But yeah, so the good part of the community is obviously the exponential growth, users, everybody coming in, the community continue to grow. We're seeing lots of other content creators also come into the space and create new avenues, and kind of bring in new perspectives, and that's been pretty amazing. There's like the Women of Veve, and many others that are creating these cool different perspectives and views. And so I think that's really cool that we're seeing this, and it's going to continue to grow. And another side of the growth is, some of these big influencers, as you mentioned earlier, coming into Veve, buying up some of these like big grails and things like that. So I think we'll continue to see that. But yeah, it's been pretty exciting, and I'm excited for the future in the VeveVerse, and it's going to be very exciting moving forward. But as far as the bad goes, unfortunately, there's always going to be bad actors in the community or people that spreading FUD. So that's kind of the bad side is, when something bad happens, or, there's always people taking to Twitter, and they might be the small minority group, but they're the loudest sometimes. But, it is what it is. And maybe that's kind of the bad side, or people trying to scam off app. And I think people should be cautious of that. And, if you're doing stuff off app, I don't really recommend doing that at all. I keep everything on in app for myself personally, just to avoid any scams. But yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, the bad side is, I don't want new users getting scammed, because that's awful. Your hard-earned dollars, getting, it's just awful. It just terrible experience. But yeah, stay in app if you're new. If you're a new user, don't go off app and sell your, don't do that weird stuff. It's going to help you out. And so yeah. I guess that would be the bad side. And there's a couple other ones like, I don't know, trying to create little groups to pump and dump a collectible, or I don't know, so stuff like that. I think is a bit little, it's a bit silly. I get a fandom group that's perfectly, I'm cool with that. Todd McFarlane group, that's awesome. But scheming to, do all these other nefarious things, I think are a little bit silly. So, and ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, there's always going to be bad actors, but it's crazy to see, like, we went through the last, like, that super long bear run from basically the end of April all the way until basically like late July. And like those were like, I refer as like the dark days of Ecomi Veve, where people were like, OMI's not going to do anything. These collectibles aren't going to shoot up in value like I was talking about. And yeah, OMI is still taking its time because it hasn't had a catalyst since then, but Veve to the moon. I mean, it's been absolutely crazy. And I agree that, like, I don't do anything off app either. It is just such a huge risk. And I've put money into it, but the values have gone up so much where it's like, I'm not playing around. I can be patient and let the values keep running up and just keep stacking gems until I can cash out. But I agree, the security side is definitely something to be cognizant of, because as we get more users, as we continue to grow, you just need to be more careful, because we're going to become a bigger target for, people to try to find ways to get your money and to get your collectibles and to steal your gems. So well said, and happy to see a bunch hopping in here. What's up, Wendy? What's up, Fabrice? What's up, Gritonian? We've got Omi, the clown of the house. Thank you for the super chat. Legends for the 20 pound super chat. I always want to say dollars, but not that currency. But you said one thing a minute ago, Gary V. So you, Johnny Dunn, like several of you have been kind of early, been, like tagging Gary V and things like early. And like, we've seen him talk about Veve multiple times. We even saw that call back then, which we never really got a whole lot of context in. We saw him in the same article as Al Khan. And then on the G.I. Joel one, we just heard him say, well, I haven't really put in the 50 hours yet. If they do make that move to Immutable X, then they'll have a big uplift. So what are your thoughts on his knowledge or lack thereof on Veve, and what do you think that'll do to the larger NFT community when we do join?
Yes. So, Gary is very NFT savvy as of now, and I believe he knows enough about Veve to be very dangerous about it. And, I get where he's coming from. Maybe he's holding back a little bit because he's, waiting for Immutable X to really take off and to really take root and take hold. And so maybe he doesn't want to put, his reputation on the line. But I think we all seen Immutable X really do very well with Gods Unchained and all the projects that are launching on there. And now you have his book games even. So I think when Veve is fully launched on there, it's only going to help his book games and drive more volume to his book games. And so I think as time goes on, he's going to definitely start talking about Veve more and more because he knows, he's very smart. And indirectly, Veve being on Immutable X is a big deal for his own project that's on Immutable X. And if you read about book games, they say in the one of the things that it's going to be forever. So maybe he's going to drop more books. Those book games NFT tokens are going to be continuing to be on there. He's going to continue to pour value and utility there. So I think what we'll see long term is Gary Vee start talking more and more about Veve. He is a collector, and I think he knows enough about Veve to make an educated decision. And you know, he has his own reasons why I think he doesn't want to fully come out and say or whatever. And we may not know until he does, you know, 5 or 10 years down the road from now. So, but yeah, so that's my thoughts on Gary, and I think it's a matter of time.
I completely agree. I think like I've worked with a lot of different companies in a lot of different businesses and have been under NDA with myself multiple times. And I know you play dumb until the time comes, right? So I'm always kind of curious on that. And shout out to OMI the Clown. I appreciate another super chat. Do you remember when Gary Vee had a meeting in that public Veve calendar way back with Dan and David swiftly removed? I do remember that. And I think that was probably them like kind of looking at VaynerMedia and seeing like, is the price tag worth it? Like we never really know, but at the same time, of course, you got a lot of info, a lot of knowledge back then in order to have those conversations. So I think that's a really good point. And we're going to talk a little bit more about influencers and like what's happening in the space and like who's jumping in with the whales and all that. But question from Jaytaw, shout out to Jaytaw. What's Wonder Woman's true potential value in your opinion versus Golden's or Todd's?
I think Wonder Woman's a popular collectible, and you know, I think she's a part of the main characters in the Justice League, and I mean, she's one of the most popular women in the DC universe. So I see she's got a lot of potential. So I wouldn't count her out. Now versus Golden and Todd's, it's a little bit of a different story. Todd, you know, the Goldens are Disney's technically first, right? And then the Todd is the first of the entire app. And obviously with Todd McFarlane, there's history just on the artist and creator alone. But so I don't know if I would compare those all together like that, but I would see her Wonder Woman as a great, you know, a great collectible to own. I think, you know, if there's editions allowed, everybody should own a Wonder Woman. But
I agree. I mean, the fact that it was the common, right? And like it's shot up in value, and it's because it's cool to see that some of the characters of the first appearance of a character, sometimes that weight holds more. And I think NFT Pirates just covered this in his recent video where like the edition sizes or even the rarity sometimes does not even have enough weight compared to the character's value or its strength, which Wonder Woman is one of the most seen like pillars of strength in terms of a hero for a female superhero. So as we're adding more and more, you know, balancing of more women in Veve, and just also she's a great, like, man or woman, either way, she's a great superhero in general. So I do think she's a strong piece. I don't know if she's a grail. I'm not sure if she's a blue chip, but she's definitely one that I hold and plan to continue to hold. But that does kind of bridge well into the next question, which is, I was going to ask, you know, collectible values are skyrocketing, which we've touched on, but what are your top 5 long hold collectibles? And are there any that you think are overvalued right now in this Veve explosive bull market?
It's hard to say because we're like basically year one still on the app, and there's a lot of years to go on. So I don't know if I know that any one particular one is overvalued per se. I think we've had a market correction in the app currently, and so I think, you know, values are probably around what they should be right now, and then they'll organically just continue to grow. You know, yeah, so that's hard to say on overvalued. You know, it's art, and collectibles and all that is like kind of in the eye of the beholder. You know, who values that, how the community values that. That could shift and change over time. You know, so yeah, it's hard to say on that. But top 5, I actually have a list over here. Definitely Todd. Marvel. I have a Marvel Comics #1, ultra rare. I have like 1 or 2 of those. That's definitely a long-term hold for me. Obviously SR Spider-Man, and really anything Spider-Man at this point. Yep. Superman, he is not in my vault as of now. I did let him go, but I'm going to try to get him back. So fingers crossed, you know how the market goes, but I believe I will get him back, and that's going to be a long-term hold. And then, you know, a lot of people I think are sleeping on this last one. One of my last picks is Robin, the FA Robin.
Carmine?
Yeah, yep. Carmine Infantino, and somebody, an actual YouTuber. I don't know if he does some videos anymore, but he did it on that specific collectible and how Carmine kind of saved the actual comic company or something by creating that character. And so I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot of history behind it. And for me, it was a no-brainer. It was one of my first URs to collect on the app. So
That's a really good point. I'm always curious if and when like if it'll have an added value as we see more and more of the fans hop in from the comic side, just because of the actual illustrators or the artists themselves, right? Like the number one most well-known of all DC is Jim Lee. Like hands down, Jim Lee is the number one. I mean, obviously Stan Lee with Marvel, but like Jim Lee is the most well-known on the DC side, and Carmine Infantino is definitely top 5. Todd McFarlane is also very much well-known. So I'm always curious to kind of see that side, but I still hold my Carmine Infantino Robin as well. I do have one of my Supermans. I had 2, and I sold one off when it was rallying up. I didn't wait as high. I should have, but I still wish I had it because I would be holding on to 2 as well. But I'm always curious.
That top 5 was very hard. I mean, I could easily put Steamboat Willie in there. You know, if I had a Walt, I would definitely put him in top 5, but I don't have Walt. I have a Steamboat Willie, but there's something about Robin I connected with. Like I said, I'm a big DC fan, and so Robin was one of the characters I really gravitated towards when I was a kid. So for me, seeing the like additions and all that, it was just like a no-brainer to keep that one. So
yeah, I agree with you on like the Marvel comic number 1. I think the Fantastic Four as well.
There's a lot of good comics. Yep.
Steamboat Willie for me is just the heart and soul of the entire IP of Disney. But Walt, of course, and Todd is the king of kings for me. But there's so many, like that's why 5
there
is
really so many. It was really extremely like I was thinking about comics, you know, and there's comics that we have yet to see that it's just like, man, like I could easily pick those 2, and you know, that I feel like could be on the app, but they're not here yet. So
shout out to Yannette, always a supporter of the channel. I appreciate you, Yannette. Thank you for the super chat. What's your opinion about Powerpuff Girls Series 1 Bubbles collection? Undervalued. I'm discouraged because I sold my ultra rare Mickey to complete the set. You completed the bubble set. If you did with like him and all that, good on you. What are your thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, if it's that set with him and everybody, that's like that's a pretty significant set to have completed, you know. And I think, you know, as time goes on, you know, 5 years from now, that's everything season 1 is going to look a lot more interesting as time goes on. But yeah, that's a great set. Now you are Mickey, you know, that's a tough call. You know, that really is a tough one, because that's just like Taps just said, that's like one of the heart and souls of Disney, and what kind of basically is like the Big Bang of Disney. If Steamboat didn't exist, maybe Disney didn't exist. So that's hard. You know, that's a hard one.
Yeah, and one thing I brought up too on Steamboat quite a few times is the fact that that version of Mickey is actually going to be, they're losing their copyright in 2 years. So that version of Mickey, that Steamboat Willie, is presumably, unless they do it another one, which I doubt they will be the only Steamboat Willie that will be an NFT that, again, they show it before every Disney movie as of the past, I think like 16 years or something like that. So that version in NFT form, it will potentially be the only Steamboat Willie in NFT form from Disney, because once they lose that copyright, then it's up for free games, right? But it could be the only and last Steamboat Willie NFT of Steamboat Willie directly from Disney. So, but for the Powerpuff Girls Series 1, there's such low additions, and I think there's a lot of fandoms that we haven't really seen yet. Like everything's very Marvel, very, you know, DC, very Disney right now, which I think once we add in also a lot of the, you know, the APAC region, like just broaden out with localization, I think there's a lot more fans of Powerpuff Girls, not just in APAC, but in other areas too. So people will hop in. And then also when you get more and more whales, they are not just going for the big brands, blue chips, but they're also going for the lowest editions because they can then control the markets, like what we've seen with Donnie, like what we saw with the Spider-Man comic 252, where the secret is absolutely like insane now. So I think I think you can win either way long term, but I agree with you. I think Steamboat is such a pivotal piece that it's kind of hard to compare the two. Shout out Johnny. Thank you for the super chat. What's up, Taps? Kyle, what % of your OMI would you guys send to the Veve app versus the exchange before swap on the 27th? Still loading up on more OMI. What are you doing, Kyle?
Percentage wise, I'm going to do whatever's necessary to get that master collectors tier. So, that's how much I'm going to send.
Yep.
That's basically full send for me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not Randy Chavez. So
I mean, I hope Randy just sends all of it to as well. Just take all that off the exchange, which I mean, he's not planning to sell for quite some time, which he's just going to stack up. And if anything, he's probably just going to put it in there anyway. So that way he can do OMI to NFT, because then nothing's really out of reach, right? He has so much OMI, that's so much capital that he can then swing into the market and play all kinds of whale games once that's enabled. So for me, I'm putting 90% of my OMI in there, which will be over, over the 50K tier substantially, but I'm keeping 10% on the app. So and people have gotten mad at me for this. Some people are saying, well, why would you do that if you think it's going to go higher? But my whole thing is, once OMI hits 3.5 cents, my average entry is at like 0.0035. Then I sell 10%. And then now I have all just house money, right? No matter where it runs up to, but I pulled out my initial investment. So I'm good to go. So that's kind of my strategy with it.
That's a good plan for sure. Yeah, I'm a big proponent and advocate of taking profits. So if taking profits, you can always roll those back into other things. Like what if Veve decides to drop Darth Vader, or what if it's like you want to have money available to invest into things, and if you don't take profits, you have no money to invest into anything. So it's always important to take a little bit of profits off the table, or if markets, like what we've seen now with Bitcoin in the financial market, there's outside factors that are affecting our investments. And so if you don't take profits, you're not locking in gains. And so it's very important to lock in gains. So yeah.
It's well said, not only just in crypto market, but also in our Veve collectibles, right? Like I've been like a collector for most of my journey with Veve, but then, a couple months ago, I started kind of flipping things a little bit more. So like even things I didn't want to get rid of, because I was like, well, I want to complete as many sets as possible for Master Collector, but I missed on a few things because I didn't have enough liquidity and I didn't want to just keep pouring money in the app. So there's a lot of strength to be able to pick up some of these blue chips when you have liquidity, and ties into this. Thank you for the super chat, Hoodie Man. Will all season 1 ultra rares be blue chips? I think that's a solid question.
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think they will be as time goes on. And then I don't think we need well, I mean, we can ask NFT Pirates and he'll tell you. But yeah, I think us, 5-10 years down the road, yeah, I think all of them will have, like, everybody's gonna make all these different cases for why each individual one is a blue chip. They're gonna be like, look at Bubbles. Bubbles is like, OG, or look at this one and look at this Mermicorno, Simone Legno, and like, so yeah, 5 or 10 years down the road, that's definitely gonna be, I think that's gonna be the case for sure.
So to paraphrase Kyle, basically a $10,000 Cora, a $20,000 Kripkins.
Yeah, Kripkins to the moon.
That's right. Thank you, Nat, for another super chat. Don't have Donnie. Sorry, LOL. Nope. I mean, if you have everything besides Donnie, like, that's still a killer set. So well done. All right, we'll be getting back to some of these questions, but I wanted to kind of touch on the broader NFT side, because for those who don't know, I mean, like, you put me onto several collections, and like, several of us in the OMI Veve community are avid in the NFT space outside of just Veve. And I remember, like, I think I heard about Crows. I heard about Crows from you, which they went up and I swing traded one and made profit. I think I heard about High Rise from you, which I swing traded and made profit. And then one I did also hear from you, but I didn't get into, that you got into, was the Neo Tokyo. And for those who don't know, I think Neo Tokyo, it did have a floor of like 50 ETH, so 150 grand. And I think it's now down to around 30 ETH, which still, I mean, and you have one, correct?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, being so versed in the NFT space, and I know that you're a big fan of Immutable X. Like I remember when it came out, both me and you were like, yes, let's go. How do you see Veve NFTs doing now that they're going to be joining, the rest of the market on an Ethereum based solution?
Yeah, so I think as once they launch, I definitely think that's going to cause like a cataclysm or like a an event where it's going to cause a lot of attention for people. I'm talking about not necessarily mainstream, but the people that are operating in the Ethereum like the core Ethereum whales. I think that's going to attract a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs in the internal ecosystem of Ethereum. And I think that's a big deal because these are the people that are creating the network effect. They have now at this point, some of them have tens of thousands of followers. If they tweet just one tweet about Veve, they have all these followers that are also somewhat, NFT savvy. But if they find out about Veve's on Immutable X, there's no gas fees. That's going to create a massive domino effect where people are going to ape into Veve and get excited about it. And I think the network effect is going to happen very quickly after that. So I think Veve being on Immutable X is absolutely a big deal. And I mentioned book games earlier where Gary Vee is also on there. Like he broke probably some records when he launched on Immutable X, but when Veve rolls out fully, Veve's going to break the records. Like I don't really foresee another project being on that level anytime soon on Veve. Like that's how big Veve actually is. And I think people are going to see that and they're not going to wrap their heads around it at first. They're going to look at this thing and be like, oh my gosh, like this is legit. And I think it's going to blow a lot of people's minds. And after that, it's history. It literally is. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And we already saw the effect when Gary Vee actually, he chose to respond when he went on Dan Schawbel's stream or video in that interview with them. And he basically what he said, it was kind of wishy-washy, and the outcry from the community was very much like, dude, like, here's where you're wrong. And then he actually hopped on his Twitter to put out a specific targeted towards Veve community. And then that brought a ton of awareness, right? And yes, that was reactive, but we're going to see much more proactive, especially when we're joining something like Immutable X, because you're going to be able to spend Ethereum in that marketplace. And it's very, very tiny amount of gas to just enable it. And then it's just all active. Like the Immutable X marketplace is so easy to use and it's still building out, but it's stacked with projects, right? And like Veve is going to be the biggest one. We have Gary Vee on it. We have Illuvium on it. We have massive gaming crypto that's being launched on it, including also Tom Bilyeu's. I mean,
Tom Bilyeu's still hasn't launched. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that's happening with that space. Like Matic is the 800-pound gorilla of layer twos, and then there's like Arbitrum and several others that are well known. But Immutable X is solidifying a space, and it's still branching up really quick. And as soon as it has that the OpenSea integration, most likely Coinbase NFT marketplace, most likely Binance NFT marketplace, it's going to be a lot of new access for Veve Collectibles.
Yeah, I agree, and we all know who Gary Vee knows in his direct circle. He can pick up the phone and say this, Immutable X, and that's it. I mean, that's all. One phone call, Immutable X to the moon.
Yep, 100%. Thank you for the super chat, Kobe Collects. If Iron Man wasn't a golden moment, what would you guess his price would be right now? 12K editions off the top of my head. Palladium in the I was like, I was almost sure that was Palladium in the chest. That's a good. What are your thoughts on the golden moments Iron Man? Because I know that he's definitely slept on more so than some of the other golden moments.
So if he wasn't a golden moment, I don't even know what his price is now because I don't own one. So I don't look at things. I don't like to look at things like I can't have, and so he's one I can't really get to at the moment. So it's hard to say. I think he's got 12K editions. If he's probably pumped in this recent pump, and he's probably hanging up there. But I mean, in my head, 1,000 to 1,500 gems would be, you know, for me, a good place to buy him at. So that's just, but I mean, he could be more at this time. I don't even know how many users we have. Like for 12K editions, that's only 12,000 people out of a million, like millions potentially. That, I mean, that could be worth 10,000 and you know, the not so distant future, because it's Iron Man. Like that's pretty epic. So
Yeah, I agree. This one's actually a pretty tough question, because when you think about the fact that it's a golden moment, like we talk about the power of firsts, right? Like no matter what, that's the first appearance of Iron Man. So like that has a lot of weight, a lot of value. But I think about it almost kind of like how the Marvel Mighties, how that's the first appearance of Captain America, right? And like it's gone up in value and it's great. I love that Steve Rogers. I have two of them, but you look at the Captain America FE and it's animated and it's like actually him, right? And like that's actually higher value. So if we got a animated Iron Man similar to how we have Captain America, I think that would go up pretty significantly in value as well, just because it has more use and it has more of that traditional the red and gold look of Iron Man. Like if it's animated, I think that could actually
and
outweigh it or be on the same
yeah.
par, but there's power to both.
Yeah, I think long term, more people are gonna appreciate those animated and sound effects. Like I could just imagine like that little, like you
Yep.
know, Iron Man noise, like that just yeah, and that too, like that's just epic. Like who doesn't want animated Iron Man? You know, the first animated Iron Man NFT. That's a big deal.
I agree. Thank you for the super chat. Faco Lots. Hey OG's opinion on better ROI long term. Ultraman COM plus, why am I Ultraman Com? What's Ultraman
Common?
Com? Oh,
I think
Common.
it's
Okay,
common.
Ultraman Common plus Black and White Harley Quinn or Wonder Woman. There's a lot of options. How excited are you guys for FA colored Batman statue? So, what's your take on, I guess, long term Ultraman Common versus Black and White Harley Quinn, which is the first appearance, or Wonder Woman, which is also first appearance? Which I guess all of them are first appearance, but again, all of them are also commons.
Yeah, that's good question. Harley, I would go with Ultraman plus Harley Quinn, or you know, or just Harley Quinn out of all those. And how excited for the FA colored? Yeah, that's a FA diorama battle scene. That's really cool. I like you guys, like everybody in the audience, like everybody shouldn't get excited what me and Taps get excited, because I think we're both like big Batman fans. So
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, we're like nerding out, like we're like, yes. But
Killer
you might
Croc.
be, yeah, yeah, you might be a Marvel fan, but I'm excited about it. So, but that doesn't mean you should be excited about it. Meaning, don't go for the drop. Let me go. I'm just playing. No, but I think it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of all these three, the Black and White Harley Quinn, because it's season one and so early in season one, takes priority. And like I think Ultraman is we saw like a lot of pump around it around APAC, but I did a lot of research on it too. And there's different versions of Ultraman and there's different generations. And this newer Netflix version is not really as much loved in the APAC region as the old school one, like the bigger eyed Ultraman. So for me, I would choose Black and White Harley Quinn over the rest, even though I love Wonder Woman and I still have my Ultraman common and my Ace and the uncommon. But that would be my choice there. And then, am I excited for the FA colored Batman statue? Not at all. It's trash. Do not go for the drop. Do not go for it at all. Everyone, it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Croc's wearing pants. It's like
Yeah.
Alex said FA pants or something. I don't know. Or FA jeans.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it, but yeah, I'm trying not to get everyone too excited on either, because I'll be streaming that drop and I'll be touching on some of the significance on it on Sunday. But I'm very excited for that one. Hoodie Man, thank you for the super chat. Thoughts on Alfred Kahn mentioning Veve Niantic? What are your thoughts there? Because I've seen a lot of content popping out, and definitely curious.
Yeah, so I actually did a lot of Niantic videos, and I did like one called VeveVerse Cracked Part 1 and Part 2. And I covered Niantic and Unity and how Unity can be easily used in Niantic and their Lightship platform, which
Mm-hmm.
is if users don't know, that's their augmented reality basically where developers can use to build uh, apps like Veve, for instance. And they are actually this year have opened up, or I guess technically last year, they announced this big global launch of Niantic, and they're opening up their Lightship platform to all developers. And that is huge, 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 because that means Veve can now go to Niantic and build a AR world. And what Reese was mentioning in AMA is a long time ago, where he envisions that AR world and kind of that VeveVerse. And Niantic's going to be a huge metaverse. I mean, they're going to use apps like Veve to not only be a use case, but also to map out the world, geolocation, pinning, all that. And with that being said, it doesn't surprise me. Long story short, that Alcon said that. Alcon knows his stuff. The guy is a genius. And for him to say that obviously is a big deal. And, I think he was obviously presenting whatever material he was presenting in that presentation. So I think we have to definitely take it with a grain of salt. We are not the ones confirming. Like, at the end of the day, Ecomi is the one doing that, and we still don't know, And so I don't think we, should speculate too much, because I'm the king of speculation, or one of the kings of speculation back in the day. But I am obviously, I think we all can extrapolate. We're all really smart. We could all, we can kind of see what's coming down the road, and so it's very exciting. It's exciting times.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And the fact that, like, we've known about the Niantic partnership for quite some time, and like kind of it rising back to top, like we're hearing more things around it, right? And like, obviously the first place our brain goes is we think, Pokemon, because it was, very much like the world kind of seeing Niantic's power and like getting involved with AR and all that. And like, we were really excited about it, but Niantic does a lot more than just Pokemon as well. So like, them partnering or working with Veve, it could go into the VeveVerse. It could be many, many different things. And we also have heard them say, yes, we're a team of 35, but we work with all of these top different partners to make things happen. So it could be really a strew of different things that they're working with Niantic for now years, right? And they also could just been like, hey, like, let's set up this partnership for when we do get there. And they could maybe have not done anything for like a year or so. And they've been probably working over the past, year and a half, 2 years, or however long they've been kind of in process to then start kind of really leveraging that partnership. But I mean,
Agreed.
Apple knows about Veve. I think every major company that has an interest in the metaverse space, or even in just NFT space, somewhat knows about Veve. So it's still time to tell.
Yeah, yeah. And it's important to know that, like you just said, like they know about Veve. Like, these companies have to know about companies like Veve, because that's what really drives their business. And maybe the mainstream doesn't have to know that, because that's not what drives their business. Like, they're just retail people, right? These companies, internally, software companies, developers, like they know they know their stuff, and they see the NFT space. They see companies like Veve. So
yeah, shout out. Got a couple of folks in the house. Thanks, Sody Pop, for hopping in. Dan Shaw Bell. Happy to see a bunch of people hopping in here and being here with us. And if you guys can, please hit that like button, and we will continue on with some of the questions while we have Kyle here. And so one thing we did touch on briefly is, we're seeing more and more big influencers and notable figures jumping into the community. Like, obviously we saw Lewis Morgan, we have Dan Chabell and Jeremiah O. Yang, we have Pro the Doge and Andre Jick. I mean, we have even seen like some recent, was it soccer and an NBA athlete in it, right? Like
FIFA, I think a FIFA star.
Yeah.
Or
athlete. So I mean,
we're
seeing more of these larger forces coming into our community. So I'm always curious, like,
IndyCalia.
Yeah, and IndyCalia, the OG of speculation itself. But I'm curious, like, who do you think we'll see next, or who do you think we'll see more of? Will it be more, of these large either influencers? Would it be more people jumping in, like from the sports side? Could it be celebrities?
Yeah, I think we'll see sports more. The only reason why is because some of these athletes have like nicknames, and like the spider, like for instance Anderson Silva, he used to have the UFC nickname at the Spider Silva,
One
or
of the
Donovan.
goats.
Yeah, and one of the or in the NBA, Donovan Mitchell for the Utah Jazz. I think they call him like the Spider-Man or whatever. He even posted on Instagram. So I can easily see athletes really taking hold. And we already do. We see Des Bryant already operating in the NFT space. We see, I think Dana White just got into the NFT space, obviously, because UFC's on Dapper Labs. So I easily could see like athletes love this stuff. They love collecting. And when they have money, from going from rags to riches, they love the flex. They love to collect stuff. And I see that all the time. And I could easily see a celebrity in like Hollywood, that also like Nicolas Cage, he's a
Comic fan.
book, comic fan. So there's a number of people, but it's one of those, and Veve is going to be it's going to go to a new level.
Yeah, I agree too, especially on the sports side, because David, you did say like the sports vertical is coming in the last AMA this year, right? So we'll see more of that hop in. And like I just tweeted at Neymar this morning because someone sent a picture of his back tattoo where he had Spider-Man on one side, Batman on the side, Goku on the other side. And so like, and he bought a Bored Ape. And I think Eminem has a Bored Ape now, and he's a huge comic book collector fan as well. So like, as we see us join the Ethereum side and we have sports and more like that, like it's going to be more appealing to them, right? Like they're going to want clout. They're going to want to see, all right, what is this Veve thing about? So I think celebrities and more athletes is definitely the way. And one thing that you did say, I'm a big UFC fan myself. Like Dana White hopping in NFTs, I did not know he was, but that's really cool to hear. But like Dapper Labs, then also every time I watch a fight, I'm just stoked to see the Crypto.com logo. Like right there, I love it.
It's insane, yeah. And even Chuck Liddell, he's retired, but he has like Lazy Lions and he's got a bunch of other NFTs. But yeah, it's I could easily see an athlete jumping in.
The Iceman.
The Iceman, exactly. Like
Yep.
imagine if we got Mr. Freeze and you 1000% chance Chuck Liddell buys Mr. Freeze no matter how many gems they are. Calling it right now if we get Mr. Freeze.
I hope we get like the old school Mr. Freeze and not like the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze. Like no hate on Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'll never forget how corny those old school Batman movies are, where he's like, chill out.
He always has those funny one-liners like chill out or hang out here for a while, like in his like Predator movies or whatever.
Thank you for the super chat. Cole T, have you two really not been paid to promote Veve? I haven't been paid.
No, I mean, I wish.
I've campaigned many times in videos, been like, yeah, if Veve wanted to pay me, the only thing we've been paid in ever was our Veve light up signs.
I checked the box. Yeah, I thoroughly like looked under, like, there's nothing in there. So except for the light.
never been paid by Veve or Ecomi. Like they don't really need to, right? Like we're all such super fans that we're the unofficial Veve Ecomi marketing team. Yes.
Yeah. So tap some more tips, because we got to eat too. YouTube is not easy. You got to dedicate a lot of time to it.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the super chat. Fun under the sun. Smash the like button. Guarantees a drop on Sunday. If not, you can buy from the market. I love it. There's a psychology to this. Thank you for that. Fun under the sun. And another super chat from Choo Choo. Do you think celebs will go for special mints?
I think new people, like new celebrities getting in, no, but I do see over time, yes, when they educate, because we've been in the community for a long time, so a lot of the community members, you and me, we know about mints, and some of the new celebrities aren't necessarily mint educated, if you will. So I don't know at first. I think they'll try to get the lowest one possibly, out of just wanting that, but I don't think they'll necessarily know at first, but we'll see.
I don't think they'll necessarily know at first. Like they could and there could be some already in here buying what we don't know, right? Like Snoop Dogg was buying up NFTs for months before he revealed his like alias, and that happens time and time again.
I'm glad Pags doesn't have a channel,
Pags?
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like I think if they do reveal, like if someone says, okay, like I'm hopping in, kind of like Pro the Doge and Andre, like, right away, we're going to be on top of it, reaching out to them. Like when Pro the Doge did that tweet, I reached out to him and said, hey man, like if you have any questions, like I'm sure you're already talking with like Foster and Andre, so you're up to speed, but if you have any questions on
it's a good point,
what the blue chips are, or like addition numbers and all that, like that takes a minute to really come to understand. But you know that we're going to be on top of it. If
Yeah.
Eminem one day was like, all right, I'm buying a Spider-Man, then we're going to be like, here's what you do, right? Like, here's
Yeah.
this. Like, yeah. So like,
Or they better be watching our channels, you know. And I know there's some out there that probably do, and it's good for their get the education in and to really understand the tips and tricks on the app, like low mints, for instance.
and I also think with the collectors, like Dan Shaw Bell, Batman, Superman, Mickey Mouse, don't discriminate. People love them across influencer levels. I agree. Like there's tons of fandoms around that, especially celebrity side too. But one thing that he's touched on multiple times, and some of the earliest, was tying your digital assets to your physical. Basically, like having a Todd edition number that matches both physical and your NFTs and Veve. And so if you look at Eminem or Nick Cage, like if they have a Marvel comic #1, they're going to want to probably match whatever they have edition number to that if they can, right? So
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I see that definitely happen. It's extremely hard, and people that are well-to-do can probably afford that. So,
Yep, 100%. Well, on to my favorite topic because it is so speculative but so exciting. What are your thoughts on the VeveVerse and its weight in the metaverse world compared to other NFT projects?
yeah. So it's tough to say. Yeah, like you said, it's speculative. We don't really know, but we can kind of extrapolate what's ahead of us. As you know, I think definitely they're going to have some AR types of capabilities, and I don't know what that looks like because that's super advanced and we haven't gotten there yet. So I think the first iteration may be more showroom oriented, where maybe we can like drive around or fly to each other's showrooms, or there's going to be like this like mini world. I don't think we'll see maybe the AR side roll out, like the AR cloud, where I can pin a collectible, for instance, on my wall, and you throw on glasses and you can just see it there. I don't think we'll see that for a while until Apple Glass fully rolls out and those developers can really scale that back end platform. But I do think the VeveVerse is going to be quite different because there's so many like big brands, and I think kind of Cavell was on the right track where where Fortnite, they had the different portals where you can go into a different map or location. And I could easily see that happening in the VeveVerse as well, where, maybe Disneyland wants to collab or partner with Veve. And, if you own a certain collectible, or maybe you buy a ticket or a pass for the day, you get to go into that Disneyland or Disney World where it's fully immersive. And so yeah, I think that's going to be maybe a possibility. And then when you're done getting out of there, it's your time's almost up. Then they throw you a promotion, at the end of the screen, like, hey, by the way, did you know you can get a ticket to the actual Disneyland? Like, that's just an easy marketing deal that they could throw. And Alcon's even mentioned like talking about taking experiences with you. I think they'll continue to scale the AR side, like casting actual shows and movies, like, and people renting that. I think that's going to be a possibility and much easier to do than the whole AR world for at first, because we already have the capability to cast in AR off of our phones, and I think that's going to continue to be a use case there.
Yeah, well said. So I think we're going to see the first iteration of the VeveVerse, like our Veve homes and maybe like some form of Veve City to start. And then it's going to be an evolving thing with the space, with the build out, just like what we've seen with the app and with our collectibles, right? So eventually, like it'll be that metaverse where we're able to have like basically like our social abilities. But that's the way, like most NFT projects are having to create a metaverse strategy now in order to stay relevant. And most still won't stay relevant whenever the crypto bear market does come. Whereas Veve has built up this monstrous company with the top brands, the top IP, the top partnerships. And if we do enter, or if and when we do enter into a bear market, that's still going to be that brand and IP, right? We're still going to be collecting, and we have enough heavy diamond hands in here too, where we're sitting on them until we make stupid amount of money. And so when we do go into the VeveVerse, it's just going to add a whole nother layer. And eventually it'll get there where we do have like, the wearables and all that with Apple and Microsoft and whoever does make that piece, that added layer. But I do like, and I think you're right. Like Cavell was talking heavily about this. I hopped on his stream and we just geeked out for like 2.5, 3 hours on his stream about the VeveVerse. And I like the idea of a collectible is almost your ticket into that portal or into that world, right? So like you can't get into Star Trek world if you don't have a USS Enterprise, right? You can't get into Disneyland if you don't have a golden moment. And then you get like special priority if you have like maybe a Walt or something right there, or a Steamboat Willie. So like little things like that, I think is going to really up the game, not only just in general for Veve in terms of awareness and being recognized as a metaverse space, but also it's gonna shoot the value up of certain collectibles. Like that's why I tell everyone, do not sleep on some of the like the DeLoreans and all that. Like we know they're going to be interactive eventually. We know that they've talked about racing them in the VeveVerse. If you know that's going to happen eventually, why are you selling them unless it's for more liquidity to buy back later? Like,
yeah.
It's still too early to tell.
Yeah, and one of the use cases I've seen with AR too is being able to, pull out your phone, map it, and you can actually pinch and resize like an entire like racetrack or size, and actually like race somebody like in your room, in your office, in your house, literally on a desk. Like I've seen AR like interactions where somebody's actually lives across the entire side of the other world, and you're still able to play in that little, AR little tiny racetrack or, board. So I think that could be a possibility that we may see. I don't know. Or I don't know if they're going to have to be geolocated together for more the, direct interaction. So I don't know. We'll see. That's like a lot of it's speculation. So I don't want to say too much.
Fair enough. Shout out to the Gale. Thanks for hopping in here. He said, I was told there'd be cake. The cake is a lie, my friend. The cake.
Yeah.
We're talking about portals. I have to reference the portal. Thank you for the super chat, Superman. I love the content. Thanks for everything, listening while working. Love it. Hope we're helping on your work day. So yeah, a little bit about the VeveVerse, but I guess, what do you think? I'm always trying to look at since the beginning, like I'm always looking for chinks in the armor or just like negatives. What do you think Ecomi Veve's greatest weakness is at this stage?
Just currently, I think obviously with the no OUP rollout so far and no MTL, I think that's causing like unnecessary FUD. Obviously, it's coming. It's just taking time. I think at this point, it's probably their weakest side of it, just because it is causing that fear, uncertainty, and doubt of like, oh my gosh, I can't cash out.
Yep.
And we don't know what everybody's going through at the end of the day as well. So somebody may need that money. So that is like a tough weak part of the side of it. But I think when it does roll out, like it's going to be all smiles and everybody's going to be jumping for joy. So
no, I agree. I mean, yeah, there's definitely like as things, I mean, everything overall is bullish and exciting and it's incredible to be where we are now, but there's always going to be like new weaknesses that pop up. Like we're seeing, I know there's a lot of FUD right now on accounts getting banned that shouldn't be banned. And like my thoughts on that are it sucks, right? Like it's not great. Like you hate to see, like if it happened to me, I would be upset too. But the thing too is like we asked them to be heavy handed with bots and then they kind of over correct it, right? So like now they're over flagging is what I've heard, but there's no perfect solution, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think we need to see some OMI utility still. I think the MTL thing has been way past due. The bots, I'm happy to see that they're going heavy-handed with bots, but you hate to see, people with their accounts who are innocent getting flagged. So I think there's always going to be negatives, but in terms of the broader scheme, I mean, there's so much strengths that outweigh the weaknesses at this stage.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot to be bullish on. And if MTL was in the beginning way sooner, I think some of our portfolios may look a little smaller. So, I mean, it's definitely I know it's benefited some people out there for sure.
I like this viewpoint from Max. Biggest Veve weakness is their incredibly fast success. I mean, that actually is kind of they have so many plates constantly spinning in the air that it's like they can't focus on any 5 things, let alone the 20 that they have, that they want to get done in the next month that they can't, right? So yeah, I mean, they just keep growing and yet they need to get all these things done that they have to keep up with everybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see their like work tickets and like, what they're, because it'd just be insanity. They've done an incredible job of doing what they're doing. And you can just hear and Dan, like when Dan is in the AMAs, that, how like he kind of giggles when somebody brings up a small, tiny priority, like, well, when can we change our handles in the app or something like that? And he's like, well, we have 1 million users, we got to service first, and then we'll get to that. So,
Yeah.
you know, totally understandable. Like the pace they're growing at is just unheard of. Like it's one of the fastest growing. Like I think it's like growing. It grew faster than Netflix did, like user base wise. Like, and that just should tell you immediately right off the bat that this is very serious. So,
I mean, we're
platform, yeah.
I've heard we're the Netflix of NFTs, we're the Amazon NFTs, we're the Walmart of NFTs, which are all great comparisons.
Yeah, that's in good company. It's like all of them, if they all like, you know, had a baby, then that would be Veve.
Yep.
How about that?
Which I mean, when you look at the top,
Wama's on Netflix. Wama's on
Amazon
Netflix.
fix. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see too. Like we're constantly every single week or every single month, always in the top 5 or top 10 digital entertainment apps on multiple countries. And I mean, I've touched on it multiple times, but like localization to me is one of the biggest and greatest things that's going to happen to this app this year. And they've touched on it multiple times that since the AMA of the kickoff of the year, that it's happening this year. Like that's like when you look at our target user audience, it's most US, it's a lot of UK, it's Australia, it's, you know, some in Russia, it's some in Brazil, but the APAC side, like when you can actually see the Veve app in multiple, like 38 different languages potentially, and then you have new influencers are hopping in on those sides, it's going to go crazy.
Yeah. So y'all don't forget about me and Taps when, you know,
I'm gonna work on my
multi-million accounts, you know. Yeah.
I'm reading your shirt right now.
Exactly. And this is actually a Sony shirt. So
dope. Is that a hint, Kyle?
Yep.
No. Thank you for the super chat, Harris. Perfect video for a Friday afternoon. Thank you. No, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Let's take like 2 or 3 more questions and then we will wrap up. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let me see a couple in here. Let's see. Go ahead and type those questions. I know there's a little bit of delay, but while we have Kyle, we can get some of these questions answered.
Joe says, "Let's go Niners." Yeah, exactly.
Are you a Niners fan?
Yeah. I got a
let's go.
Let's go, baby. I got a signed Jerry Rice picture frame. So that's what actually you see in my videos. There's like a little letter. I sent that when I was a kid, and he actually wrote back and signed it. And I was like, let's go.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the Bay Area, so I was born a Niners fan, will always be a Niners fan. Like, man, I still have my Frank Gore jersey just because I loved Frank Gore.
Frank Gore was
no longer with the Niners, but yeah, support the Niners, support the Warriors. I don't care for the Raiders, even though I very much like Marshawn Lynch when he played. But yeah,
I liked Marshawn too. Yeah,
Marshawn's just a dope guy.
Yeah. And then how he went back to the Raiders to like support the community. I thought that was like, man, I was like, that is an OG move. Yeah, I like it.
Afternoon, gentlemen. Could you please clarify, is there an Asian market? Because I don't think I've made a Chinese friend. So we have users who are in the APAC region, like Kaki Kaijin, who's made NFTs of both of us, which he's got incredible work. He's in Japan, and we have other users who are in APAC regions, but the app is only transferable into English, right? So, I mean, I've been to Japan, I've been to other countries in APAC, and I can tell you, if you have the assumption that everyone speaks and reads English, you're wrong. Like it is, so having that, like your native language is going to make it that much easier. And again, they're then able to present Veve content. Because right now we have some Spanish channels, we have a German channel, we have some French channels, and I saw only one channel that did, I think, 1 or 2 videos to date on Veve, and also Dancing Buddha Panda is doing a few as well. But it's APAC region is the biggest region in the world, right? And that's just APAC, right? There's much more than just, you know, Mandarin and Japanese and Korean and Thai and Tagalog, like other languages. So the APAC region or the Asian market is not targeted or really empowered yet.
Yeah, and once it's opened up, there's no going back.
We got some Niners fans in here.
Yeah, let's
gaming
go.
in the Bay. Let's go, Bay Area.
Yep. Forever faithful.
Let's go. All right, let's see.
All chat gaming in the Bay.
Let's pick another good question on here.
By the way, that Clay Thompson comeback was epic.
Yeah. And oh, that's another one we were talking about, influencers. Like Steph Curry has a Bored Ape.
Oh, does he now? Yeah, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Okay.
he has it. He specifically bought one that's it's blue and it has like yellow glowing eyes. And I was like, he had to get the one with the Warriors
Yeah,
color.
yeah. That's smart. Yeah, I saw the Warriors. They did something on like OpenSea or one of those platforms they dropped initially. And so I could definitely see that being a easy vertical for Veve to have something cool like that
Yep.
in the future.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to NFLPA, but we don't even know what, like, they didn't say NFLPA is coming this this year. They said sports vertical. So
Mhm.
it like my hope is we get something with, obviously hopefully NFLPA. I'm hoping that we get something with NASCAR would be incredible, or
Mm.
Formula One, which I think Formula One
Oh my
already has
goodness.
another deal.
I really hope Formula One changes their mind. I know that I bet David, you can, knowing David Yu and how many licenses he has in Alcon, I fully believe that they can get a Formula One because David Yu's Michael Schumacher fan. So
I
I've
mean,
seen I've seen some memorabilia in some of those clips of his collection. So
yep. And you never know the terms of the partnership, right? Sometimes they're exclusive,
yeah,
sometimes they're
sure.
not. Sometimes they're exclusive to a certain type of NFT as well. So, I mean, we've seen DeLorean dropped on Flare Network and there was a whole bunch of FUD around it and it never really did anything to our DeLorean's price, right? So you never know. Thank you for the super chats.
Could you
Well,
imagine the day Vivi gets slapped on the side of an F1 car? Like that would be insane.
yeah, I can't, but all I know is like you will instantly turn like
You'll
100,000 plus people into Formula One
Yeah,
fans.
and also it would turn half of the VB community into F1 fans overnight.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for the super chat, Eric. Walt to 100K soon. I don't know about soon.
Yeah, because I feel
It's pretty high.
yeah, I feel like Walt holders would just flip into a Spidey at that point. That's
Yeah,
my thoughts. I don't know. Or, I don't know. Yeah, that's my thoughts. Or maybe in other moves that they're willing to make in the app or whatever the case. So
yeah.
it's a lot of gains.
I think it eventually will be 100K, no doubt, but I don't know about soon. Um, Good question from Yoshimoto. Vivi, have the waves of MTL begun with the OG accounts? I've heard they will initially start with OG accounts. Do you think we will see dip right after MTL fulfilled and then slow steady rise? I can already say I don't have access to MTL, and I was a sub 5,000 user in February, so I think it's very selective, and like OG might be like those who were around back in October, right?
Yeah, super
But we
duper
haven't
OG.
even heard anyone say, "Hey, I have access to MTL." Like no one on Twitter or no one's even said anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And then do you think we will see a dip right after MTL fulfilled and then slow steady rise?
Yeah, I think we'll see a little bit of a dip there. I mean, naturally, just because people are speculative, they're emotional. Anytime there's emotions involved in trading or collecting or whatever, there's always going to be people that, have a little bit of fear and maybe they want to cash out. But that's going to open the door for these big whales that have been waiting for a while for this to happen. And, it is what it is. It's a cycle. It's just going to happen. Maybe we'll see a little correction and then the whales come in and maybe it won't even last that long. So, but I do expect a little bit of a dip there, but maybe not too big because like I said, whales have been waiting there for a while.
Yep, 100%. And that's kind of how I feel too. Is like if I've told maybe 50 people about Vivi, I would say maybe 20. Well, I would say initially like 4 jumped in. And then over the past, couple months now, like 20 are in. And the majority that haven't yet is either they're in NFTs and they're just like, well, if I can't see the blockchain tied to the collectible, then no. Or like, I get it, you're making a lot of money, but if I can't cash out, if there's not a gateway for that, like they just can't wrap their head around it. So like to your
Right.
point, there's plenty who are waiting for that. And once you can, it's kind of like, NBA Top Shots, everyone's like, oh, well, it absolutely tanked with MTL. Well, that's because they launched it all at once. I think the fact that they're doing it in groups is really, really smart because
Mhm.
it slows that, that big sell off. And it like NBA Top Shots is not gone. People are, they're still extremely active and people are still making really good money in there. And so it didn't cripple them. But I think if they had done a staggered tier approach to their MTL, they would probably have not had like a big, massive sell-off exodus like they did. So I think we'll see dips, but not as much as you think. In fact, there's a lot of opportunity to it. To your point, like people are just waiting to be able to cash out, say, okay, I'll hop in.
Yeah, it's going to be like a transfer, like people cashing out, Will's coming in. Like it's just going to be like a 1-for-1 exchange.
Oh, we got the price for the croc, and then we'll take the last question. Thank you for this super chat. Facolots list price $120. ED 8,888 first appearance killer croc. That is not a lot of additions.
No, yeah.
I hope. I imagine it's just a one of one, so they're probably going to do it standard drop. But I really wish they just did blind box drops all the time because they're just so much easier to get.
Yeah. The 8888, yeah, that's gonna be pretty tough to get for sure. So a lot of us will trying to pick that up in the secondary, but we'll see.
I love this $49 super chat. Thank you so much, Jeff Humphrey. Love you both for being 49ers fans.
Yeah.
Let's go. If I'd known that you were a Niner fan, I would have worn my Gore jersey on.
I have a Jerry Rice jersey downstairs.
All right. The last question. Thank you for the super chat, DW. Kyle, what is your end of year price predictions for Secret Rare Spidey? Do you have a Secret Rare Spidey?
Yeah.
You did.
If I see the amount of users we're gonna get at the end of the year, I would say like an easy 5x. I could see. I guess that's like me not being conservative. I could easily see like a 2.5 to 5x for sure. Like it all depends on mint numbers. Like if you're sub 300, I think you have a good chance of, on the higher end scale of a 5, like a 4x maybe. But if you're on the higher end mint, then I think maybe just a 2x or 3x. But it just depends. It just depends. We'll see.
Yeah, if you have one of the, or a few of the 1,000 Secret Rare Spideys, I would be tempted. I probably would have sold it when it was around that 100K just for liquidity, and then rebought it back whenever there is like another large license drop, because it'll probably drop down, in my opinion, to maybe back down around that 50K range eventually. Yeah. But if you don't want to play around, if you don't want to risk it, you hold it. That thing is going to keep rallying eventually, and probably not that long. And the way I look at it is like all of those Spider-Man, and like I don't have a Secret Rare Spider. I had all the opportunity. Everyone was telling me to get one, and I didn't. But I was just doing other moves. But I do have an Ultra, a really, really low edition Ultra Rare Spidey. And so the way I look at it is plenty of people are going to be priced out of those 1,000, right? But every single one of those Spider-Man are FA first Marvel NFT. So when they're priced out, they're going to go for that Ultra Rare. When they're priced out of the Ultra Rare, which will move up to probably $100,000, when the Secret Rare is maybe up to like $300,000, then they're going to be going for the rare. Like they're going to keep ticking up, because no matter what, someone's going to want some of those first Marvel NFTs at some point. So I think
that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard. The higher you go up in price, the less liquidity, the less people that can actually purchase and buy it. So it may stay lower, so there's obviously, like Tap said, if, a big brand drops, that could cause, the collectible like Spider-Man to drop. So.
Yep. We got NFT Pirates in the house. We talked about you multiple times. Happy to see you in here, Chad. Legends. Looked up to these guys forever, dude. We look up to you. You drop quality content, but we need you to never talk about Star Wars or anything again until we have the collectible.
Yeah. You can talk about collectibles afterwards.
Reslon quality is superb on the croc drop. I need to check that out. And last super chat. Thank you very much, all those, for the super chat. Great show, guys. Keep pumping out content. Great stuff. Much love to all. And thank you all for being in here and for hitting that like button, for showing support for Kyle. So we will wrap up, but, just last, kind of question for you, Kyle, I guess, what are your thoughts? What are your last tips to the community, and where can people find you?
So tips for the community. I would say just continue to do drops, collect what you like, and just get on Twitter, get on the socials, follow Taps, follow, you know, some of these influencers. We keep it, you know, we keep good tips coming from our feeds and our socials. And you can follow me on Twitter at Tiger Willson. That's my handle on Twitter. You can check me out there, or Kyle Willson, which is my name on YouTube. I have one of my channels there. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all the tips and stuff like that I have. And it's a pleasure being on the channel today and getting to chat with you and the community. So yeah, much
Awesome.
appreciated.
Well, yeah, man. Like I said, like my first stream in starting this was in 2020 with you, and so I think it made sense to start 2021 off with streaming together on my channel. So happy to see it, and I hope the Veve Art Show next generation happens again soon. And again, you know, thank you so much for hopping on the channel and for being such an avid member of the community, man. I know everyone loves you, including me, and just we're happy to just have you as such a big influence on our community.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And like I said, it was a pleasure, and thanks for having me on.
Of course. And thanks everyone for hopping in here. We will see you in the secondary market. Most likely we will hopefully be able to grab that croc. And again, please hit the like button, subscribe to Kyle Willson, subscribe to my channel, and we will see you on the next one. We're going to dance it out again.